Good evening, everyone. This is Veer Maheshwar, Charitable Trust, Latur, MS, India, organizing daily international webinar series. In this series, speakers are invited from India and abroad, and this series is running from last 5 years. Today, we have invited Dr. Vedapradha R. Ma'am, who is Assistant Professor at St. Joseph College of Commerce, Autonomous, Bangalore. And her topic is Inside the Editorial Room. I welcome you, ma'am, from organization, from all the participants.
Thank you, sir.
This topic is related to the publication of the process. So the topic is Inside the Editorial Room, what editors and reviewers never tell about our publication. This topic is new for us. If possible, make your camera on, and I request you, you can start your speech now. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Yes.
Yes, ma'am, audible.
Thank you, Dr. BETKAR, for this opportunity. Today, I'm here to just share my personal experience and what I have learned in the span of 6 to 7 years in the research. And currently, I'm a registered reviewer in most of the Emerald Journal publishing. I do a lot of review for Taylor and Francis Springer and Sage. I personally like Emerald because it is more author friendly, and we have privilege to share our manuscript in whatever format we want. Unlike if you look into Taylor and Francis elsewhere, they have a specific format, so authors are given certain restrictions. So today I would like to share what I have experienced and what I have learned from my colleagues, peers, and friends in context to publication. I'll just quickly share my screen. Sir, is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. So today I thought I would like to share some of the insights, what most of the editors and the reviewers don't communicate with the authors. And I have planned this entire session into 5 segments. And lastly, we will be keeping it open for the question and answers. First, I would like to set the stage. What are we going to discuss? Before that, I would ask how many of you have had a paper or whatever the manuscript you have submitted desk rejection in the last 2 years? I'm sure all of us have had it. You can raise your hands if you have had this experience so that I get an idea whether you have this experience before or is it completely new to you. You can share the reactions by raising your hand or saying yes in the chat box. It would just take a minute. It would be nice if you can do that so that I have an idea about where do we stand and how do I go about. Okay. First of all, let's understand why do we need to do this publication. The major 3 reasons why would we all be interested in publications being academicians is, first is a career impact. We are all looking forward for our promotions, appraisals, or whenever we try for applying to certain funding agencies like Indian funding agencies, abroad, Western countries agencies, or a collaborative agencies, they also look for our publication. What are the quality publications we have done, especially in the leading indexed databases like Scopus, Web of Science, and now evolving ABDC, that is Australian Business Deans Council, which is categorized into A star, A, B, and C. So it has a greater impact on the career. And second is a departmental key performance indicators, which will add value to the entire institution. whenever it is in terms of NAC assessment of accreditation, NIRF ranking, or institutional ranking in India Today, Times of India. So all this also contribute to the institutional overall performance when the faculty publication metrics are shown in that. And most importantly, from the individual faculty perspective, we also are looking for our publication. Whatever publication we do, it has to be quality based, so that there are good citations. That is, all the people across the globe will have to read our papers and they cite our papers in their work. So this also is very, very important, because when you just keep publishing and nobody is reading our paper and they are not citing our paper, it is of no use. That also indicates that whatever we publish is not of good quality. So choosing a right journal, targeting the right audience also help us in increasing our citation. And yes. So part two is we are looking at how do we choose the right journal. Most importantly, when you look at the journal, first thing, before we understand what exactly happens at the editorial level or at the reviewer level, as an author, whenever we submit, we need to keep few things in mind. First is, when we think of submitting our paper, we need to understand whichever journal we have shortlisted, is the scope and aim of the journal, is it matching in line with the paper what I'm going to submit. Because once you submit and if the paper gets published, is the audience of the journal who frequently look for latest published articles, are they going to read your paper? And also we should consider the impact metrics in terms of site score, which scopus index journal are we submitting, is it Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4? And it also matters because Q1 and Q2, when we look at publishing in the journals which are indexed in quartile 1 and 2, are very rigorous, and if you can publish your paper, then you are evolving as a very good researcher. Third is visibility for us. So when we publish more and more quality paper, people around us at global or at your institutional level or Indian level, people start recognizing our work, and that also helps us in getting the visibility. Next is, we should also look at the journal. What kind of open access is it giving to us? Because not all the authors will have the privilege to pay the APC charges. So we should also look at is there an option for publishing as a hybrid, where only people who can afford will pay APC and those who cannot afford will not be paying any APC. Are we looking at green open access, gold open? There is also something called as diamond open access, where a particular journal is sponsored by certain foreign universities and the funding comes from that university, and hence the authors need not pay single rupee, but their entire paper will be openly accessible to everyone who visits that particular journal, and they can read that paper. And lastly, we should also look at certain tools. Nowadays, most of the publishers have come up with their own journal finder tools. So we can also look at that, where you can figure out what is the journal name, who are the frequently publishing authors in that particular journal. And what to be careful is, when we try to choose a right journal, we should be very careful about the predatory journals, where they are cloning the real journals and exactly mimicking the same, including their ISSN, the background, everything looks the same. So you'll have to be very careful before you publish, and never submit to a cloned journal, because your paper might be really good, but once you publish on a cloned journal, it will get available online. So your whole content is available and you will not be able to publish elsewhere. So you will lose a chance, and that will again lead to career defamation, and the quality of the authors or the researchers will be questioned. Now, before we actually get into the editorial perspective, let's understand how exactly the editorial process at the back end. Now, what we are aware is, as an author, I submit the paper, but I do not know what happens at the editorial's office and how the editor is looking for the reviewers. So usually these are the standard steps. first the submission by the author happens at the portal, and then there is an editorial triage, that is considered as the basic admin level checklist happens. So there is separate office. Now if you look at any good quality journal, there will be editor in chief, who is the main person who is responsible for running that entire journal, and all the roles and responsibilities and the accountability goes to that editor. Below him, we will have associate editor and the commissioning editor. Now, associate editor is somebody who actually manages this whole process of desk level, looking for a suitable reviewer, sending the papers to the reviewer, getting the comments, then sending the decision to the author. And then the commissioning editor's job is to look for prospective authors and reviewers. So their job is only to look for potential authors who can contribute good amount of papers, and also potential reviewers who can take up this review process and help them in running this whole journal very successfully. Then comes the third stage, is the desk level. So once the paper is submitted, the admin does the basic level check. That is whether a paper is having plagiarism, whether the paper is having AI generated content, whether the paper is in line with the aim and scope of the journal, is the format accepted at the journal level. So all this basic will be done by the admin level. Once it gets a clear or a tick mark from then it goes to the desk. Now in some journals, this admin and desk could be a same department or same committee which does that. In some journals it will be different. Now in the desk level, what happens, this is where most of the papers get rejected for various reasons. So whenever the paper is not in line with the aim and scope of the journal, and the structure, how you have organized your paper, if that is poorly designed, that also could be one of the reasons. And if there is no novelty, that is your paper, if it is not offering any uniqueness when compared to the people who have already done certain amount of publications, and if there is nothing new to be offered, that also causes a problem. And when your paper is good but your abstract is not able to convey what message you want to pass it on to the readers, when all these happens, then it draws towards the desk rejection. So this is where more than 60 to 70 papers get filtered, and whichever paper passes this level is then which goes to the peer review process. So basically, most of the editors are spending less than 5 minutes in reading. So they look at your title, they look at your abstract and the keywords. If they are convinced that your paper is good enough to be passed on to the review, only then they look for review. Otherwise they just reject the paper at the desk level. And then the paper passes on to the peer review, and at the peer review there could be three possibilities. One is the paper gets rejected, the paper goes for a revision, which is classified into two: major revision and minor revision. And the third possibility is the acceptance. So when you submit a paper and when it goes to the reviewer, in the first instance, getting a paper accepted is very, very rare, rarest of rare, and it is ethically also not right. Even if the paper is extremely good, the editors ensure that at least there is one level of revision. Only then the paper gets accepted. Otherwise, the quality of the journal will be questioned. So the three possibilities will happen at the peer level. Based on the peer review, the editor, the associate editor takes the decision whether the paper has to be passed on for the next level, whether it is getting rejected or it will go for the revision, and the same will be communicated to the author. If it goes for the revision, then the authors are communicated saying these are the comments from the reviewer, and then you will have to rework on it, and there will be a deadline given. And if the authors are convinced, they are able to convince the editor after the revision is done, then the paper gets accepted. So usually for this whole process, from the stage of submission to the acceptance, if the paper is already in a good quality, then it takes around 6 to 10 months, including the publication. If the paper is good, but it is not up to the mark, then it takes more time because more number of revisions will be asked for. And as and when you keep revising, the paper quality keeps improving, and then finally it reaches the submission acceptance stage. Sometimes this whole process might exceed beyond 12 months also. Now in peer review, we have single blind, double blind, and open review. Single blind is the reviewer will not know who is the author, and so in single blind, the reviewer will get to know who is the author. The names will be shown, but the author will not get to know who is the reviewer. But when it comes to the double blind, neither author nor the reviewer will know who are they, because as a reviewer, I will not be able to see who are the authors, and authors also will not be able to see. Open review is something where both of them are aware, and it is more of a critical to improve the quality of the paper. Now, this is a sample which I've picked from Emerald. Because Emerald is very, very clear on how do they go about, what is the review process, everything very nicely put it across so that authors can read. Now, typically, if you see this is how the peer review process is designed. First, the submission happens to the journal on the journal's portal. The editor sees, and if it is not meeting the journal aim and objects and the objective, he will directly reject it. Then if you look at it, editor, if he feels that it has cleared the desk level, then he will look for possible reviews. Usually they send a paper to 3 reviewers so that they can take majority. If 2 reviewers says yes, accept or revise, and the other says reject, so he will have an idea to decide what to do in the next. Then the editor will send the paper to the reviewers. The editor will receive the reviewer's comment. If the reviewer comment is positive, and if it says that a paper can be improved further, so that before accepting, the editor decides to send the paper to the revision, and the authors are notified that this is the comments given by the reviewer, and they are given some time, 1 month, 2 months, 15 days, depending on how much revision is required. And once the author submits the revised paper, editor will again go through the revised manuscript, and he will compare whether the authors have addressed all the comments given by the reviewer. And if he is happy, he will sometimes send it to the reviewer to check whether they have addressed all the comments. If the reviewer is happy and editor is satisfied with the comments given, then the paper gets accepted. And once after accepting, the paper will take around 1 to 2 months to get published. Now, in case if the editor gets a comments from the reviewer saying the paper is very bad, it's not up to the mark, then directly the paper gets rejected. There have been many instances where the reviewer rejects the paper after it goes for the review, and it is very saddening, and most of us get disheartened by reading those comments. But what we need to understand is the review process is something helping. You need to see what kind of comments the reviewer is giving, because whenever the reviewer is giving a concrete and constructive critics, then you can work on the paper so that you can improve the quality of the paper, which will increase the chances of acceptance. But there are instances where the reviewer are very rude. They simply put down your paper saying that what kind of rubbish paper is this, it is not even worth reviewing, it is just like an undergraduate or postgraduate project report. But there are such reviewers as like them as well, but we shouldn't be getting disheartened. We should see how we can move towards for the next improvement process. Now, these are some samples which I have taken from my own papers. Now, if you look at it, this is from one of the Q1 journals called Kybernetes. And this is a good desk reject example. The reason because this is the title of the paper. And if you look at it, the editor says in view of the highlighted, if you see, we are unable to publish your paper as it is not in line with the high standards of journal. So it is very clear that the reason why they are accepting or not accepting the paper. So whenever the editor comes back with a decision saying that this is the reason why we are rejecting your paper, that is very good, because we will understand where have we made mistake, where do we have a chance to improve our paper, so that we can improve that area and submit to the another journal. If we do not get comments like this, why are they rejecting? It's very bad, because we do not know really our paper is bad or the editor didn't like our paper. Because nowadays what is happening is most of the editors are also very choosy from which country does this paper come from. And also they have it's again becoming slowly a business where they want to take papers which is going for APC so that they get money for the journal, rather than wasting time on a paper where they do not opt for APC. I would rather go for a APC paper because I get money. So, and there are also some journals where the editors have closely friends who are helping them to get certain papers approved. So these are all the negative or the gray shades, but we cannot do anything because we don't have the authority, or we do not have any role where we can force them. But whenever you get a desk rejection or a rejection as a decision with the reason, it's always good. Now, this paper is already published elsewhere in another journal. Now, I'll show you another example. And also, if you look at it at the bottom, the associate editor is also giving a comment. He is very specific. He says the novelty and scientific contribution of this paper do not appear to be significant enough for further consideration by the journal. And it also lacks sufficient technical depth. So he is saying overall the paper is not scientifically contributing enough for me to send it to the review. So he is very clear. So this is the area where I need to look at it and understand this is where I need to rework so that I can have an opportunity to get it published somewhere else. Now, if you see, this was somewhere in 2023. Then I reworked on this paper and we submitted into another journal. Now it's already published. It's been 2 years. Now I'll show you another example as a bad example. Now, if you look at it, this is another paper from another journal. Now here, the editor is not specifying what is the reason for my paper to be rejected. He only thanks that you have submitted. After careful consideration by our editors, we regret to inform you that we must decline this submission on editorial grounds. And subsequently, we have declined to send a paper to external peer review. So this is an example of a desk rejection where the editor is saying that based on the mutual decision taken by the editors, they are not sending my paper to the further review. But here, if you look at it, the editor is not explicitly or specifically mentioning what is the problem in my paper. So when we get these kind of rejections, it is very difficult because we do not know where do we lack, and we will not have an opportunity to understand, to rework on the paper. So these kind of comments also we get, but this is something you should be watchful. Sometimes the editors simply reject without any reason. So we do not know really the paper is bad or just the editor has rejected. Now, sometimes what happens, we submit a paper and we know we may not be able to pay or afford the APC. But if the paper is good, we can, after the paper gets accepted, we can always try convincing or requesting the editor to give us some discount. The best way is, well, submission itself, if you draft a covering letter saying that we are submitting, we do not have any monetary or financial support from my institution, or this paper is not funded by any funding agency, out of our own interest we have done this research. So if the paper gets accepted, could you please give some discount or some fee waiver so that we will be able to publish? So I had one of such examples where for one of my papers, we submitted the paper and the paper got accepted and we were asked to pay the APC. We requested the editor mentioning these financial reasons where we cannot afford to pay, and the editor was kind enough to give that waiver. I will just show you the example. So this is where it's a special consideration case. Now, if you look at it, the editor has clearly told that usually this is from a Sage publisher. He told that usually they don't give any waiver or discount on the APC. especially where the authors are not from the institution which is within the low income country. Now Sage has a list of countries across globe. If papers are received from Africa, some low income poor countries, or very very low income countries, then they give a discount to such authors. But since India doesn't fall into low income country according to their list, they usually don't give any discount. But since we requested and paper was good and the editor wanted the paper, so on this occasion, however, they have considered ours as a special case and they have given us 50% off. So if we had to pay, it was somewhere around 1 lakh something, but with further discount, we were supposed to pay only 50%. So we got even further more discount. So totally we have paid only 30%. So we said we can't even pay this 50%. Was it possible for giving us another further discount? So the editor agreed for it, and we got a totally 80% to 70% discount, and we got this opportunity. So these are also some of the out of the box cases where you also can experience. And next, let's move on to how do you select your journal. So I suggest you have a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Always before you submit, you try to have 3 journals in hand. You make a list, which is my first choice, which is my second choice, which is my third choice. And what are the things you need to look at it while shortlisting your journal? You need to look at the exact match, whatever is your topic. If your topic is marketing, you should look for only marketing journals. Second level is look at marketing as part of management. So it's a broader scope. So second option or the second journal to look for is a general management journal, and third option is multidisciplinary journal. So and another criteria is you need to look at, are you looking for both Scopus and Web of Science, only Scopus, ABDC, or just the open access journals? Then you should look at it whether you are looking at Q1, Q2, because Q1 and Q2 is very difficult, but it is not impossible. Q2 and Q3 is okay, there are chances. And if you are not able to make it up, then third last option you have to see, which is a very good journal with a good reputation, but it is not indexed in anything. So rather than publishing in a simple peer-reviewed or a cloned journal, it is good to publish with a reputed journal, but it is not indexed in any journal, any database. Then you can see whether you are looking for a journal which is free to publish as a subscription. That is somebody who is interested in reading your paper. The reader will pay money and they will get the access to your paper. But as an author, you need not pay any money. And you also have subscription and waiver. I told you, sometimes what happens, the journal itself will disclose if your paper is really good, we will consider on request basis. And last option is if you have funding agency, like if you apply for ICSSR or any other agency who will give you funding to publish, then you can also go for any journal with financial support. Then also you should look at what is the time which is taken by these journals in getting the entire process, that is from the submission stage to acceptance. Typically, the good quality journals will take 6 to 8 months. The next one level below will take 4 to 6 months. And open access journal, which are not indexed in any database, will take easily 2 to 6 months. But we have to check the quality. And how do you identify which journal should I be submitting? There are a lot of journal finder. If you simply type in Google, Sage Journal Finder or Elsewhere Journal Finder, Emerald Journal Finder, it will pop you the link and you can paste your abstract and you can start looking for the options. It will only suggest you. So why 3 targets you need to have is 3 levels. Why? Because if you have the 3 list ready, let's say if the first journal rejects your article, you don't have to waste time in searching, formatting. You can keep it ready so that you can submit for the second journal quickly. And if the second journal also rejects your paper, then you can look for the third journal so that you can save time. What happens if you take more time in searching after the rejection happens? You are losing out time, and today, every day, there are lakhs and lakhs of publications happening on a daily basis. So, the more you delay, your paper could be really good. But just because of this delay, you can lose out an opportunity to publish. So, it is always good if you have three list of journals in hand so that you can work faster. Next is, what do we understand from the reviewer's perspective? Now I have discussed how editorial perspective will be. Now if you let's try to understand what happens at the reviewer level. Now, how usually reviewers are selected? Like I mentioned earlier, there is commissioning editor whose only job is to match potential reviewers. And how do they identify reviewers? They identify from the databases where those reviewers would have already published good quality papers in multiple publishers. They look at their citations, they look at H index and I10 index, and also sometimes while publishing, the journal asks for few recommendations of the reviewers, and those things list will be collected, and then the reviewers, the editors are going to use AI tools which will help them in matching based on the manuscript abstract and the reviewer's expertise area. The editor will get a suggestion from the AI tools. Like how we authors are using AI tools, even the editors also use AI tools. Their tools are different, and what usually reviewers expect from our paper is how original is your article. It should not be a copy paste from somewhere, and how methodology is strong. It should be very rigorous. How your unique contribution is going to add value after the paper gets published, and are you ethical authors? That also they look at it, because let's say you got a data, you visualized that data using some AI tool, but you have not disclosed in your manuscript saying that this figure was generated using AI tool based on my data. Now when you disclose these things, it questions your credibility, and the editors and reviewers will not trust the work what authors have done. And sometimes this is very common that experienced reviewers deny reviewing because this is an unpaid job. Most of the reviewers don't get any monetary benefit for reviewing. It's only for their career progress and for us to understand what are the new topics which are being researched on to improve our professional career. We do, but there is no monetary benefit attached. So most of the experienced reviewers don't accept reviewing because they feel it's waste of time, because they're not getting anything in return in terms of monitoring. And sometimes some of the journals, they also don't give any recognition, like there is no reviewing certificate, they don't put the reviewer's name in their website. So most of the experienced and high quality reviewers will look into all these things. So it is always good to attract the medium level of reviewers who are not so familiar with your domain, but that also causes problem in your delay. It gets the whole review process delayed. Now just a sample, if you look at it, this is a weak review comment. The reviewer is just mentioning the literature review is inadequate, but he is not specifically mentioning what is the problem or where you are lacking. This below example is a strong or a rather good example. Section 2 omits key work, and he is giving you the papers to cite or to go back and read that paper, and then he is asking you to read that paper so that you understand what mistake you have done and you can improve based on the review in your paper. So the absence weakens the novelty argument in para. He is very specific. That means he has read your article very, very clearly. He is not randomly making some comments. So this also, sometimes you should understand, you shouldn't feel disheartened when the comments are very weak and it is very rude, because we should also understand every reviewer may not give 100% in reviewing your article. Next, these are some tips which I thought would help you as authors and increase the chances. Always write a very good cover letter. while submission, where you are highlighting what is the novelty of your paper, how your manuscript is going to add value to the journal, and be very clear. Do not use any flashy telling that your journal is extremely good. I am a big fan of your journal. We shouldn't be using those unprofessional words, so that it makes very obvious that you're trying to impress the editor. That we shouldn't be doing that. Keep your abstract and title very clean, and your abstract actually should convey what is the quality of your paper, and title also should be very very attractive. And the third point is, once the reviewer gives you comment for revision, after you have finished the review, you need to give a response which is called as author response to every comment given by the reviewer. And this can be done by using tracking changes, which most of the authors do it by coloring the font from black to yellow or red, so that when the reviewer sees your revised manuscript, he understand where have you made the changes. And we should also be having ethics, where disclosure regarding how which author has contributed what part of the manuscript, whether is there any conflict between the authors. That is, let's say there are three authors, the third author was not interested in contributing, and he has done minimal work, but since he is your friend, you have given him authorship. So that is again an example of conflict between the authors. There should not be anything like that. Duplicate submission is, you are not sure whether your first journal is accepting, so you are submitting the same paper in all the three journals together. That is also very dangerous, because today, earlier this was not the case, but nowadays even editors are having one single platform based on the publisher level. So that's, they have a database where they check the title and authors, and abstract will be there. So the editors will be able to check whether you have simultaneously submitted your paper into more than one journal. Then if they find out that you have done, they are going to retract your submission. They will cancel your submission, and they will flag, and they will hint, or they will alert other editors that if you get papers from these authors, do not accept, because they are unethical. And also we need to understand how we can increase our visibility after we have published. We can use social media platforms. You can upload your papers if it is having open access on Orchid, ResearchGate, and Academia is another platform. You can add your papers on Google Scholar, Vidwan portal, so that more visibility will be given to your paper. And also, when you are using AI tools, we should be very very sensibly using, and we should be responsible. We should use AI tools to help us rather than completely depending on that. And wherever you are using, it is always good that you disclose in the declarations at the end of the manuscript that you have used an AI tool for improving your grammar or improving your language, because most of us are not native English speakers. We don't have English as our mother tongue, so we make a lot of grammatical mistake, incorrect sentence formation, wrong punctuations. So if you have used anything, it's always good to disclose. So these are some of the tips. The next segment I would like to walk you through is, how do you craft a good cover letter? What editors actually expect? You need to always include the manuscript title, and if you are using a particular journal, write the name of the journal, the editor's name, spell it correctly, and in the body of the letter, you need to emphasize how your paper is adding value to the journal's readership, and what is that uniqueness you have to mention in one paragraph, so that when the editor reads your cover letter, he understands why your paper is so important and how it can be proceeded further with the review process. Then you can also clarify that what kind of AI tools you have used, and also you can disclose how you have used. If you have used, how have you used your own content and used the AI? That is not questionable, it is good. But have you generated the content from AI and then used it as a visualization? All that matters a lot. What you should not be including your covering letter is, we should not try to impress the editor by using flattery words. Your prestigious journal, your journal is the most fabulous journal, it is one of the greatest journals, and we should not try to repeat the abstract in the covering letter where you are trying to emphasize what value addition have you done by writing this paper, how is it going to increase. And also, you should not justify, if you're using secondary data and you have taken 3 years to complete, you shouldn't be justifying why did it take 3 years for you. And also, the tone should be very professional. You should not be trying to defend or apologize editor, or trying to please, like how our students tell, ma'am, this is our last chance to clear the paper, kindly be considerate, please pass, make me pass in this exam. So we shouldn't be using that kind of a tone, because it doesn't give that professional appearance to the editors. Now, next, let's look at the art of rebuttal. That is, how do you respond to the reviewers? First thing is, we should thank the editors and reviewers, even if the comments what we got from the reviewer or editor is bad or it is very rude. You should not take it seriously. Thank them and tell them that you are willing to appreciate the time and effort they have taken in reading your paper and helping you to improve. And every comment should be addressed point by point, so that you are also telling them which page, what line have you made the changes. And you should use the tracking format, so that the reviewer and the editor knows where have you made the changes. Third is, you should avoid using any offensive statements, or if the reviewer says what you have done is wrong but you know that is right, you cannot rudely say that how can you say this is right, how can you not be aware of it. So we should not use any offensive tone. We should always use a very soft and pleasing using a soft tone, so that you don't make them feel offended and they should not get angry by reading what you're saying. And sometimes, if you've made mistake, agree and acknowledge that thank you for helping me to identify this mistake what I've done, I will try to rework on it. And this is next thing is tracking the changes. Like I told you, line by line we can highlight, or we can use a coloring code. And also, the tone matters very importantly. You should appreciate, you should thank them, and also you should tell that thank you, we understood where have we gone wrong, we have made the changes. And also, you should not be very rude. Now, in this regard, see, ideally, what is your agenda should be that when you do the revision, you have to make sure the paper doesn't come back for another revision, or it should not get rejected after making revisions. That's a very painful job. You have revised the paper, you have submitted, but after revision, the paper gets rejected. The whole time what you have invested with the 6 to 8 months goes for a toss. So you have to take every effort to convince the reviewer and editor and make sure the paper gets accepted. Now, I will just show you one example from my own experience, where I have taken the response. Now, this was the title of the paper. So we have just told that we would like to thank them for quality suggestion. And this was the editor comment. Now, if you see, this is my author response document, where this is the comment given by, and this is how we are responding. So we are telling from what page number to page, which paragraph, and this is reviewer 1. So this is his comment, this is our response. And this is the comment, this is the response. If you see, in some cases, whatever revision we have added in the manuscript, we have repeated that here so that it becomes easier for them to read. So this is a comment, this is our response. Comment, response. So after you do, because when we do the revised manuscript submission, the editor will expect you to upload this document, or he will expect you to respond specific after this comment, what is the response. So you will have to paste this comment in that box if there is no option for uploading your response document, but they will give you a space where you can paste your comments in the response box. So it's very important that when you do the revision, you need to prepare all this so that it looks more professional. I'll show you another example of another published paper. Now here the reviewer had a different comments and we have used a different format. And see, here the reviewer asked us to give motive and justification. So the justification, whatever this paragraph you see, the same was actually added in the manuscript also. So sometimes it depends what is the expectation of the reviewer, and he has recommended, if you see, he has told read this paper and see whether your paper is in line with this, and he says I recommend reviewing and incorporating discussion because it's weak, so read these papers and then you improve your paper. Some reviewers are very good because they give you the papers also and they say you read this, understand, and then try to implement that what you have understood on your paper. Then we have given our comment. So this is a very lengthy, too many revisions were there and we have addressed. See, one author has given major review and another has given minor review. So we have addressed, and finally we made the comments and we gave it to them. So you need to understand depending on what is their expectation, because by reading the comment you will be able to understand. Now in case if you have a problem in understanding, you can always take help of some senior researchers or your friends who are good at publishing. But if you feel that they may not be of any help to you, today with AI, you can simply copy paste the comment and put it in ChatGPT or Gemini AI. And if you paste the comment and ask, how do I interpret this, or tell me in very simple language what is the reviewer asking me to make the changes, it will give you breakup and it will break down. If it is very difficult to understand, it will give you step by step what needs to be done. So you can also take help of AI. Next, what are the ethical factors we need to consider in mind when we are looking for the publication perspective? Always give credit who has contributed to the author rather than ghost authorship and gift authorship. Never submit the same manuscript in two journals at the same time, because if they get to know, like I mentioned, it will create a problem. We should declare all information, whether you have received any funding, whether any conflict of interest is there, or whether you are publishing or submitting this paper under somebody's influence. And data availability policy is also something newly starting. Most of the journals today are not trusting the authors because they are recycling the data. Let's say I collected for first research project very good data set. I am only changing the names or my questions and reusing the same data multiple times. So this again creates a problem on the authenticity of the paper and the credibility gets questioned. So nowadays, most of the journals, what they are doing is when your paper gets accepted, they are asking you to share your data so that they will put your data in the data repository, so that in future if you want to reuse your own data you will not be able to do. And if somebody else, let's say you do not know how to do statistical analysis but you have asked your friend to do the analysis and give, if that person is an unethical person, he can use your data and manipulate and use it for his publication. So that also should not be possible. So for that reason, the journal is putting the data which they collect from the authors into the data repository, so that you yourself cannot reproduce, and somebody else, if they accidentally get hold of your data, they also cannot cheat. So this is again from the ethical perspective. So if at all you are using any AI tools, my suggestion is best disclose and tell where have you used the AI, because today even the editors are understanding that they cannot stop authors from using AI completely, and it is highly not possible. So they are also trying to reframe their whole policy. Now some of the journals are coming up with a policy that we accept AI below 10%, like how for plagiarism they say below 10%. Similarly, they are okay to accept AI, but it should be having a threshold. So they are also trying to make changes in their policies, but as an author, even we should disclose ethically. Another important factor is to be careful about the predatory journals, which are cloned journals. Now, a lot of committee WhatsApp groups are there, mails we get messages telling that we help you in publishing, you pay this much. But what most of the authors don't know is they take money, they publish the paper on a cloned journal page, which is exactly the replica of the genuine journal, but actually that paper does not get reflected in the real journal's issue, and also the paper does not get indexed in the Scopus or Web of Science databases. And also, if the journal editor or the editorial team is promising review within 1 week or publication within 15 days, you should be very careful, because genuinely 1 month is the standard time allotted for any reviewer to review your paper. And depending on the availability and the time of the reviewer, it may exceed, but everything happening less than 1 week is a red flag. And if the web page is not clear, they don't have any information about ISSN, how is their review process done, who are their editors, who are their editorial in chief, who are their commissioning editor, if there are no email IDs, there are no affiliation where that editor belongs, these are something which you should be careful. And if they demand APC before the review and acceptance, that also you should be careful. And website is having grammatical error, the logo is not genuine, and there are no details about whom to contact if I have any problems or if I have some questions before I submit my paper. There are no details about DOI on the already published papers from the previous issues. These are some red flags. You should be very, very careful to verify whether that journal is genuine. These are some verification tools. Think.check.submit. It's again an organization which is helping to verify. Another is Beale's list, that also shows you a list of predatory journal. You can copy paste the link and the title of the journal. It will show whether it is genuine or predatory. And again, if the journal is part of directory of open access journals, that is also a double check. And if the journal publishes information that we are part of COPE membership, and they are following the guidelines, that is also for sure, because they cannot simply put up the details that they are member of COPE. They will have certain details to be disclosed. That is possible only if they're a genuine journal. And another possibility is journal citation reports, which is a popular official Web of Science database where you can also verify whether the journal is there. When you paste the title and ISSN, it will show you the details of the journal. That means it's a genuine journal. If that does not show you any details, then it is a fake journal. Now, these are some standard author submission checklist. Now, whatever I have covered so far, I have put that as a standard checklist for you to see before you click or choose any journal to submit. These are something, if you pay attention, you can always prevent yourself from being in trouble, and it will help you in submitting to a very quality based journal, and it will also help you to have a career progression. And these are some recommended source resources which the authors can use. Whatever I have covered, I have just put this up. There is now something called as retract committee which has come up. If you have already published journals, published articles in through some journals, they are randomly picking papers, and they are seeing whether you have genuinely published or you have manipulated and got published. So a lot of such committees are also voluntarily trying to do journal selection. I told you to pay attention on these, and we have lot of resources, like Elsewhere has started Author Academy. It's a LMS platform of their own, where you can learn lot many things by listening to their videos, reading their contents, and look for Scopus author profile. Skimago journal ranking also tells you whether the journal is really good, which Q quartile is the Scopus journal. And always you can look at the Orchid ID. This almetric.com is another platform. It's a tool which tells you about your citation, how many people are reading your paper, how many people are downloading your paper, and all the details will be available to authors from this. And lastly, we reach the closure part of the session. I hope I have conveyed whatever I wanted to share with you, and now probably I'm also hoping that you have better understanding about the publication process, and what are the pain points and how do you have to address. Now I'm open to questions. I would be happy if you have some questions for me.
Thank you, Dr. Vedapradha, ma'am.
Thank you,
It
sir.
was a new topic for this uh, webinar, and you have delivered so clearly that everyone is related to our research, publication writing process, then sending correct to journal, how we keep the journals in preference order, how we can follow the ethical, all these things. So very detailed journey of you. Also, you have said about the 3D to perfect persons or organization, those who have supported you. So these are the good thing and useful thing for us for public in the reputed journal. And totally inside story, we were totally unknown, but we have disclosed all the things, the detailed story of the publication. So thank you for this your studious presentation today.
Thank
Now
you,
I
sir.
request participants to discuss with our speaker on today's topic.
Yes, Dr. Swanand, you can ask your question.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Dr. BETKAR, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for your
Good evening.
wonderful presentation you have made, and
Thank you,
what
sir.
exactly is happening in editorial board and how everyone plays their role. And no doubt it is for the improvement and betterment for ourselves. If suppose there are some lacunas, if there are some deficiencies, we can improvise it. And if it is really, not of that level, it will be rejected. So we should not feel, because the author knows what quality of paper he has prepared.
Yes, yes.
So it will not be much concern for them. So that is very important. And another domain, what you said, where you are publishing your paper, the objectives and, the aim of that particular, journal should match with your topic. That is also a wonderful thing you have said. And many of the time the rejection comes there only.
Yes.
People misplaced, they are just putting their journal. Nowadays, what is happening that in academics also it is mandatory to have research papers. And if you would like to have some positions in the university, you should have your research paper publications, maybe a Senate or BOS or somewhere. As well as for the, you'll find the postgraduate. I'm from the medical field. So postgraduate also requires, to publish their papers. And nowadays it is coming to down to the UG also. So that pressure is there, and everybody doesn't have that kind of attitude and aptitude.
Yes.
And that kind of learning and study and that in depth, meditation about this subject. And it should be a real paper. It should not be a manufactured paper. So many
Yes.
of the times it seems to be a manufactured synthetic paper. It is not a natural sequence you can identify. And there are some gaps in the knowledge also you'll find while reading the paper. And then you'll find the statistics also what they are doing as per their requirement, as their, as per their, to show some horrible result. People are manipulating it. I should use the word manipulating.
Yes, yes, sir.
So that is why you'll find, nowadays the journals are there, different journals, clone journals are there, duplicate journals are there, fake journals are there. And people are busy, within 2 days they are having their own publications. So, after getting publication also, they are getting certificates also, they get DOI number also. So now the question comes, when people come to us like this, right? How to recognize? Because DOI number is there, certificate is there. And within 2 days, publication has been done.
Okay.
We are knowing that this person has, Mr. XYZ has not worked for this.
Okay.
And he's coming with, some kind of maybe AI generated or maybe somehow he's coming with a paper. So
Okay.
how to put it up, as an academician, we are judging, we are accepting, we are rejecting. So at that level, how we are going to do this? Thank you.
Okay. So very good question, and I appreciate, because whatever you mentioned is very true today, because we have so much of pressure and we are in a kind of rat race. And sometimes it's also like a competition, that if I have to prove that I am more knowledgeable than you, I have to end up publishing more papers so that I prove to the management or the department that I am better than you. One thing what I would tell you is, whenever you see the DOI, there is a trick how do we identify. Now I'll just quickly share my screen and I'll just show you, sir. I'll take an example. This is from Emerald Insight. Again, this is a database from the Emerald publisher themselves. We get a list of papers. For example, let's say, 1 second. I am just showing one paper of mine, Energy Grid by Smart Grid. Okay. Now, if you look at it, sir, this is my own paper which has got published. Now, if I click on this particular paper, it will take me to the next homepage. Now, if you see, this is published by this particular journal. And if you closely pay attention, this is the journal's DOI, which is given to our paper. Every DOI changes. What you need to look for is, it always starts with http and doi.org, and all the DOI starts with 10. It starts with 10 and some number is there. After this slash mark, what you see, now this journal's title is Management and Sustainability and Arab Review. Now the journal's abbreviation, that is basically the first letter of that entire journal ka name, will be used as a short form here. See, it is Management and Sustainability Arab Review, and it will also show the article code. If I click on this space, this article history will show that the journal received my paper on 7th of December 2024. So the year of submission should match 2024, and if you see the December, so the month should be 12. And whatever the last after this month and the year and hyphen, whatever you see, the 4 numbers, that will tell you the journal submission ID. That will be the article ID. Now, what happens for this journal? They have a standard. This will be their standard, but last 4 digits or 3 digits keep changing depending on which number is your submission. If I have submitted at 10th, that means mine is the 10th article which is submitted to that journal only. Then here it will be allotted 0010. That means it's the 10th. And this got revised in April 26th. Second revision happened on June 21st. Then the paper got accepted only on June 2025. So if you roughly calculate, it took 7 months. What I tell is, most of the time, if the paper is already of good quality, you can get the publication itself within 6 to 8 months. Sometimes it depends on the availability of the reviewer also. I'll show you another example, sir. This is somebody else's paper, and it's a different journal. Now, if you see, again, what you need to look at is this DOI. Now, if you look at DOI, this 10.110, this is a code given by the DOI organization for Emerald. And if you see again, this JOEPP is Journal of Organizational Effectiveness, People and Performance. And if you see, the short form is matching with the journal title. Then if you click on article history, you get to see September 2025. And again, if you see, the last three numbers are changing. That means this journal has received in September, this article was 797th submission. That means before this paper was submitted, 796 papers already journal received. So this is one trick what you can do. Another option is any other. Now this is Mendel is again elsewhere's byproduct, which is reference managing tool. For example, I put smart grids again here. Smart grid on energy. I simply type. Now again, if you look at this open access paper, can you see, sir? Here the DOI starting from 10, but here 1016 is there. But for Emerald, it is 18. And if you see this journal, we do not know what is the journal name. So they have one short form and 2024 and then E. So each publisher has a different way of publishing their papers when DOI is allotted. But this prefix, that is the standard one, remains same. So that if you read through, like if you go to a particular journal, maybe if it is Taylor and Francis, they have a different way of presenting it. Now, if you see, they have, again, if you see 10.51, this is a code. Again, ESTJ.V. So some journals also use V and the code of the paper. Now this is 1016, so 1016th paper. So this is how we will be able to do. And if I click this DOI, for me that article should open up here. See, sir, no, same. That it's taking me to that landing page of that paper, which journal is there. It is showing volume number. So it is a genuine paper. If you open the PDF, it just got downloaded. Now, if you see, some journals will not show their DOI inside the paper, but some journals will show the DOI inside the paper also. So these are some checks what you can do, sir, to see whether the paper is genuine or not genuine. But what I suggest is, if you really are concerned about the quality of the paper, it's a process, it's an evolving process. After I started my research, it took almost 3 years for me to publish my first scopus. So it's a evolving process. Even today, whenever I submit one paper, there is something new I get to learn. So whatever new things we get to see, we have to keep on adding to that. And and as we proceed further, based on our experience and like how we are attending these kind of workshops or FTBs, we also get to know how to be careful. So I hope I have answered your questions.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your insight in the subject. Wonderfully explained, and definitely, for every person it is his own journey.
Yes.
And we have to understand, day by day, how to improvise our research paper and how to make it more scientific. So
Yes.
that is how you will get a right place at right journals.
Yes.
So thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. BETKAR,
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Swanand Shukla, sir. As like every day we have discussed, and the new point also we got from your discussion, how we authenticate that DOI, how to author that DOI. So these things are useful to avoid the cloning or other malpractices in the research. Thank you, sir. And thank you, ma'am, for your valuable time with us
Thank you,
on
sir.
this particular important topic, which is useful to all academicians.
Thank you,
ma'am.
sir. Thank you. And I hope all of you have a very nice weekend ahead. Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.